This is trash that they're doing in our community. Same thing with Donovan. Donovan was trying to turn his life around. Donovan was trying to get into the music business. Donovan was trying to leave that gang stuff alone. He up here drinking his glass of wine when you see the picture. But what did they do? Off of what? Because Donovan was at the barbershop joking, laughing outside. You see the surveillance video? And left him like this. All in the name of YSL. All in the name of the gang that they want to tell you is a music group. It's music. This ain't music. This not a song right here. Y'all. This is real life. Real dead bodies. Real dead people. Real shootings.
And we are back. Thank y'all for watching this video today. Go ahead and hit that like button for the final closing argument of the YSL RICO trial, y'all. You know we appreciate it every time you give us that good thumbs up. Y'all, this is going to be the final closing argument of the YSL RICO trial. And it was not DA Love. She did not do any closing arguments. That was left up to Adkins to open it up. And then you had the defense, and then you had Hylton, who closed it all out. Now, there were many audio issues, and the stream even went dead on all different streaming sites at some point. So I edited it up, tried to fix the audio issues for you, edited out the stream. So I think this is a pretty clean video for you. Y'all, the opinion on Hylton was resoundingly that this was a crash out, y'all. You're going to notice at the beginning, Hylton, she starts off a little subdued, but by about the middle of this, this is a sit back and relax, y'all. If you have made it this far in the YSL RICO trial, don't try to rush this. Don't try to just look at a little clip, or don't try to, watch everybody's content, but you need to see this whole thing. You need to see how it started, and you need to see at some point the feed went out, and when the feed came back, Hylton was all of a sudden in full on what people were calling crash out, ratchet, hood, whatever you want to call it. So sit back, relax, get yourself a cup of whatever you like to drink, get your milk and cookies, get your cereal, whatever it is you like to do. Let this thing ride, because you need to take this all in. Before we get into it, just remember, y'all, I'm going to give us a plug to our school. CareerParalegal.com. If you want to get into the paralegal field, we can help you. We've been at it for over 20 years. Go put your information in. We'll reach out to you. So I'm not going to belabor the point anymore. Without further ado, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and let's get into it.
Thank you very much. All right, Ms. Hylton.
Good evening. I know y'all tired. And I get the harsh responsibility of closing you out for the next couple for a little while. I ain't gonna tell you how long it's going to be, but for a little while. And I just want you all to bear with me and bear with us as we speak. Mr. Adkins told you this morning that this is kind of like that marathon. They were kind of at that last spot, right before the finish line. And I know this has been a long trial, and like every one of us has said, we thank you for your sacrifice. We know that we have taken you away from family, friends, church, work. If y'all didn't want to work, but from work to be here with us. And so we're going to ask of you just to bear with us for a little while longer. Now, Mr. Weinstein said something very interesting as he closed. He said something to the effect of, the state should be ashamed of themselves for targeting people of color. And I was a little taken aback. Why? Because I am a person of color. The majority of this prosecution team are people of color. And we are not targeting people of color. We are targeting gang members who decided to wreak havoc on communities in Fulton County. And the ironic part of the community that they violated were those communities were communities of color. See, no one rarely talks about the victims in this case. But the victims in this case, most of them are people of color. Because in Fulton County, you don't get to victimize anyone in our county without being held accountable for your actions. And what we're going to ask of you today is hold both of these offenders accountable for their actions. Because they are guilty of every single crime for which they are charged. But as both Mr. Shard and Mr. Weinstein were talking, I was reminded that what is right is often forgotten or what is convenient. And see, in this case for them, it's convenient to blame Kenneth Copeland for the murder of Donovan Thomas. But we're going to talk about that doesn't even make sense. For them, it is convenient to tell you that we have not met the elements of RICO because they're just not a gang. They just get YSL tatted on them. They just get snakes tatted on them just for the fun of it. That's convenient for them. But that's not the truth. And while it may have taken some time for us to get all that evidence out here, it took a while. Some days the evidence came out good. Some days the evidence came out bad. Some days I had to take a couple of breaks. At the end of the day, the evidence shows what is clear. YSL is a gang. YSL is an enterprise. They commit criminal street gang activity. They murdered Donovan Thomas, murdered Chanel Drakes, and they're guilty. And then I'm also reminded of a story that a colleague told me a long time ago about someone who worked as a Border Patrol officer. And this person worked as a Border Patrol officer for a number of years. And while they were working Border Patrol, a guy would come through the border with a red bike every day. And every day that that person would come through with a red bike, he had a basket on the front of the bike. And inside of the basket was some sand. Now, every day, this guy would come through, and the Border Patrol officer thought something was kind of fishy, but he never found anything. He always found baskets with sand inside of it. This happened for a few months. Well, one day, the Border Patrol guy was leaving that job. He was going on to a new job, and he was at a bar. And who walks into the bar? The guy with the red bike. So the Border Patrol guy says to him, I'm getting ready to leave my job, but I'm interested. There's something was fishy about that red bike. What were you doing with that red bike? And the guy was like, nothing, don't worry about it. Congratulations to you. The night proceeded. The Border Patrol guy got some more joints in his system and said, you know what? Can you tell me about this red bike? Because something just doesn't seem right. Every time I would see the red bike, it would have sand in the basket. Tell me what was going on. Guy said, don't worry about it. Finally, it's the end of the night. Border Patrol guy is really sophisticated. He said, this time I'm not going to remember what happened. You're not going to get in trouble. Tell me what you were doing. And what the guy said was, you know how every day you were focused on the basket with the sand? I was smuggling in a new red bike every single day. See, you were so focused on what was in the basket that you was missing what was right in front of you. And if you listen to what the defense counsel told you for the last about 3.5 hours that they argued, you're going to miss what's right in front of you. So what's sand in the basket in this case? First things first, stolen jewelry. APD, somebody stole this watch. No one stole the watch. The watch is left back in the house. But they want you to focus on this watch, because if you focus on the watch, you're going to miss the evidence in front of you. Talked about no reports. November Rito, she didn't write any reports. Well, what she told you is, she wrote her information in the affidavits. Affidavits that get sworn before a judge. Probably better than reports, because a judge has to actually read that information. But if you focus on the fact that November Rito didn't write any reports, you're going to miss what's right in front of you. Mr. Weinstein talked about length of time. We talked about it. Knowledge of co-conspirators. I think at one point in time, Mr. Shard said, Mr. Myrick, who stabbed Lucci, he doesn't know Mr. Kendrick or Mr. Stillwell? Maybe not. But he knows Khalif Adams, who's the one who helped set up stabbing Lucci. Khalif Adams knows those two. Well, knows Mr. Stillwell. Khalif Adams knows Garlington. And so, some way, somehow, though, Mr. Stillwell knew on February 9th that Lucci got stabbed. Well, how does he know that? How is that in a text message? That wasn't broadcast to the world. So this idea that just because Mr. Miter doesn't know him specifically does not mean that they're not guilty of the crime of which they committed. They talk about witness credibility, specifically about experts and what our experts say. But if you go back to any of our experts' testimony, Belkman, Dennis, Gaither, Underwood, the things that they talked about, there were examples of it. They talked about why it was a hybrid gang. It was Bloods and Crips, and they kind of got together. Well, we know that because Martinez Arnold was a Crip. Some of them, Mr. Williams was a Blood. You saw when he talked about sex, money, murder. You see them hanging out together. You see them committing crimes together. Mr. Kendrick and Mr. Arnold in a car with guns on their way to Trestle Trip. We can infer, well, shoot it up. That's what they talked about when they said it's a hybrid gang. They talked about the music, and we're going to get to the music in a minute. They talked about the fact that gang members use their music in order to brag, promote what they've done in the gang. And we'll see examples of that in a moment. We talked about your duty earlier today, but again, just to be reminded, you're supposed to be a fair and impartial juror, honestly seeking the truth. You are not to seek doubt. So when you go in the back, you're supposed to say to yourself, what happened on January 10th? What is the truth about that? And is there evidence towards the truth? That is what you're here for. Seek the truth, you follow the law, and you deliberate. Now, I want to tell you this. If you go to the back to deliberate, and one of your numbers says, I'm not deliberating, I'm going into the bathroom, I'm not doing any of this, you need to bring that to the deputy's attention so they can bring it to the court's attention. Because you have a duty to deliberate. A duty to sit down, evaluate the facts, evaluate the evidence, and apply it to the law. So let's talk about the evidence of defendant's guilt. So earlier this morning, Mr. Adkins talked to you about count 57, participation in criminal street gang activity. He talked to you about count 1, conspiracy to violate the RICO Act, and counts 50 and 51. I'm not going to harp on that again, but I thought it interesting when Mr. Weinstein said, well, we haven't proved counts 50 and 51 and 57. You know, the state, they're all dressed in red. We are. Red's probably my favorite color. But you know the one thing that's different? We don't do criminal gang activity. And the court's going to define what that is. See, we're not here because people wear the same colors. They can wear all the greens they want. They can wear all the snakes they want. If they all want to tattoo YSL on them, that's fine. So it's not a crime to be a part of a gang. The crime is when you start doing criminal street gang activity, like murdering Donovan Thomas, murdering Shamel Drinks, murdering Jamari Holmes. That is what the violation is, not being a member of a gang. So you'll see, and we said it again, that on the left-hand side were the charges for Mr. Kendrick, on the right-hand side were the charges for Mr. Stillwell, and in the middle is what they were both charged with. So Mr. Kendrick is charged with possession of marijuana with intent to distribute. That's from May 9, 2022, when he was found running from Mr. Williams' house. Remember, the officer came and said that they both must have been out of breath, and he ran from the house. And the drugs and the guns that were found inside the house. The marijuana and the guns that were found in the house. So in order to prove this, we have to show that the defendant possessed with the intent to distribute any amount of marijuana. Marijuana includes all parts of the plant. What it does not include is the hemp products and all those other technical terms that I'm not going to try to pronounce for you tonight. We have to show that he possessed it and has possessed the marijuana or the firearm. We're going to talk about the firearm in a moment. Possession must be actual, constructive, sold, or joint. So we're going to tell you that it's not actual possession. No one caught him with the marijuana in the hand. We're going to talk about constructive possession. At the time of the alleged offense, he did not have direct physical control over the marijuana or firearm, but did knowingly have both the ability and the intention to exercise control over the marijuana. We know he doesn't have sole possession, we're going to focus on joint possession. Defendants share possession of marijuana or firearms with at least one other person. What evidence do we have of it? And I know Mr. White said he didn't have any evidence. We do. Pictures are evidence. That's direct evidence like we talked about earlier. This is inside of the home of Mr. Williams. That's the money counter that was sitting next to the Tupperware bowl full with the marijuana. That's the Tupperware bowl full with the marijuana. That's the more marijuana that was in that cabinet in that same kitchen right across from where the Tupperware bowl of the marijuana was. And those are the 2 guns that were found inside that area. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you heard the testimony that SWAT, when they came, did not immediately make entry into the house. It was like announced, it was loud. So I submit to you that they had the opportunity to put stuff away, to hide stuff, because they didn't just come in immediately, Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen. So you can take that into consideration as you deliberate. Possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. So the state must prove that the defendant had a firearm on his person or within arm's reach while committing a crime against or involving another person. For Mr. Stillwell, it's murder. For Mr. Kendrick, it's the possession of marijuana with intent to distribute. So how do we show this? On the left is Shannon Stillwell. That is Mr. Drinks inside of the vehicle. We know that Mr. Drinks was shot with a 40 caliber gun, possibly of a Glock, and we're going to talk about this Glock in a moment. So you can infer, although we do not have the gun, that Mr. Stillwell possessed the gun that shot and killed Mr. Drinks because he's dead and because we have the bullet. You can infer that. That's that circumstantial evidence. Your direct evidence is someone is deceased. You have bullets. We know that those bullets come from a firearm. So the only way you can infer that the shooter, Mr. Stillwell, possessed a firearm. Mr. Kendrick, again, you have the firearms inside of the house at the time when the house was raided. There were 2 found inside of that cabinet. There was the one that's found on this counter. Now, they're also both charged with possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. You have to show for Mr. Stillwell, he has 2 counts. And interestingly enough, I was listening, Mr. Sharp never talked about count 64. But we're going to talk about count 64. But count 52 is that he's a convicted felon and he had a firearm when he murdered Chanel Drinks. And in count 64, which is when he was apprehended, the gun that was found in the middle of the road, that we charged him with that weapon as well. And then again with Mr. Kendrick, that there were guns and drugs at Allison Drive on May 9th. And let me also say that in the indictment, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon is going to be a lesser included of what is charged. What is charged is a different charge, but possession of a firearm by a convicted felon is a lesser charge, and the court is going to instruct you, and you can find both of them guilty so long as you believe that both of them possess a firearm and they have been previously convicted of a felony. What do you have in evidence? You have State's Exhibit 60G and State's Exhibit 30Q. Both of those are the indictments of Mr. Stillwell, which he was charged with and convicted of a felony. So that is the felony that we're saying he should not have been in violation of, or he should not have possessed the firearm. As I just discussed, because he's a convicted felon, he should have never had a firearm when he murdered Chanel Drinks. For count 64, what do we have? Remember, this is on March 17th, after they fled from the Chick-fil-A. And remember, Trooper Campbell came in and said that he found the gun in the middle of the road you saw the dash cam video when he kind of turned around and said, and found this gun. Then we brought in Mr. Stillwell's former girlfriend at the time, Taisha Alexander. She said that she had bought the gun. That was her gun. That gun came back to Ms. Alexander when we were able to compare the serial numbers on both the gun that was collected and the receipt from Arrowhead Pond. And further, we played these jail calls, wiretap calls for you.
Hello? Yeah. I don't know. Trying to call, like, really play down the high-speed tape to the Baba house.
Yeah.
Why have he in a high-speed tape if he in a rental legit?
Yeah.
He got my legit gun.
So the fact that she says he got my legit gun, which is that gun right here, he should never have ever even been in possession of it.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know what's going on either, because, usually they'll call, like how he got my gun.
Yeah.
They'll call and be like, come get your gun, but they ain't even call me. So I don't know if where my gun is, I don't know what's going on.
And again, this phone call was done on March 17th, the day he got arrested. The day Mr. Stillwell, got arrested. Now for Mr. Kendrick, you have in evidence State's Exhibit 487 BV, which is a certified copy of conviction of Mr. Kendrick. And again, because he's a convicted felon, he should not have been in constructive possession of any of these guns that are inside the home. So now, based upon what we have shown you, they are guilty of, right now, count 1, count 50, 51, 52, 54, 57, 58, 61, 63, and 64. So let's spend some time on the murders, because that is what we need to talk about. So for the murders, Mr. Stillwell is charged with count 2 and count 49, which is Donovan Thomas Jr. and Shamel Drinks. And Mr. Kendrick is charged solely with count 2, which is the death of Donovan Thomas Jr. You're going to hear the court read you an instruction about intent. Intent is every essential element of any crime must be proved by the state beyond a reasonable doubt. It may be shown in many ways, provided you, the jury, believe that it existed from the proven facts before you. It may be inferred from the proven circumstances or by acts and conduct, or it may be in your discretion inferred when it is the natural and necessary consequence of the act. Intent does not mean the intention to violate the law or to violate a criminal statute, but it means simply the intention to commit the act that is prohibited by the statute. So what are the elements that we had to prove for murder? That Mr. Stillwell and Mr. Kendrick caused the death of another person, here, Donovan Thomas and Shamel Drake, unlawfully and with malice aforethought. What is malice? It is not necessarily ill will or hatred, rather it is the unlawful intent to kill. You may find malice when the circumstances show that the defendant acted with deliberate intention to unlawfully take the life of another person, or where there does not appear to be significant provocation and all the circumstances show an abandoned and malignant heart. You often hear about premeditation. Some of you like watching these crime shows. The state does not have to prove premeditation to prove murder. So we don't have to sit and say you planned it out and you all mapped it out and that you knew you were going to kill Donovan Thomas or Shamel Drinks right at that moment. If a killing is done with malice, it is murder regardless of how briefly the malicious intent existed. So when Diamante Kendrick rode by the barbershop and they saw Donovan Thomas sitting outside with his friends, and I'm going to submit to you, they started calling saying, yo, Donovan's out here. Let's go do this. That's enough. Or with Shamel Drink, when Shannon and Garlington are sitting in the car and they're backed in and they see Mr. Drinks pull in and they realize, oh snap, that's the dude from the Shell Hell Post. And they see him walking up and they decide at that moment they're going to get him because they're going to get revenge, they're going to get back. That's enough right there. Doesn't have to be days planned. Within moments, that is enough. No specific length of time is required for malice to arise in the defendant's mind. It may be formed in a moment, and instantly a fatal wound may be inflicted. If malice was in the defendant's mind at the time of the act of the killing and moves the defendant to do it, that is enough for the killing to be murder. Now, motive. The law says we don't have to prove motive. You want to know why? Because oftentimes I can't get into the mind of why someone wants to murder somebody. But here, and we're going to talk about it, we have some evidence of motive. Any evidence of motive has been admitted for your use in determining the defendant's state of mind at the time of the killing. So you heard Mr. Atkins talk earlier about parties to a crime. I'm not going to go over all of the principles again. But he gave you the example of the bank robbery, right? Everyone who is a part of the crime is responsible. So in this case, for Donovan Thomas, Mr. Kendrick is driver. Mr. Kendrick, the state's belief, the state's theory, is that he alerted them about where Donovan Thomas was. Because he was the one that was at the Texaco. He's the one that waited 40-something minutes for the Infinity to pull up. He's the one who got out of the Bonneville and went to the Infinity. He's just as guilty as the ones who pulled the trigger. Nard and Mrs. Jackson. He's just as responsible. And that's what parties to a crime says. Every person involved in the murder is just as responsible as a person who pulls the trigger, because you're all acting together. Now, we have in Chanel Drinks an individual that you kept hearing about, DeMarco Boyer. And someone brought up that DeMarco Boyer isn't on the indictment. Well, this is the law that's going to be instructed to you. Any party to a crime who did not directly commit the crime may be prosecuted for commission of the crime upon proof that the crime was committed and that that person was a party to it, even though the person alleged to have directly committed the crime has not been prosecuted or convicted, has been convicted of a different crime or degree of crime, is not amenable to justice, or has been acquitted. Mr. Boyer's day is for another day. We're not going to talk about Mr. Boyer today. Today, we're going to talk about Mr. Stillwell and Mr. Kendrick. You can look at presence, companionship, and conduct before and after the commission of the alleged offense. And those things may be considered by you in determining whether or not such circumstances, if any, give rise to an inference or the existence of a conspiracy. So what does that mean? You can look at what they did before, what they did during, and what they did after. And for both of those murders, we're going to talk about conduct before, conduct during, and conduct after. So let's talk about Mr. Donovan Thomas Jr. You heard from his mother, you heard from his father. He's from Atlanta, he had kids, he was in a gang, but he had started to kind of try to get into the music business. And he had started doing that by, one, he had a relationship with Rich Homquan. Two, he had just put Lucci on, Riot and Lucci. So he was trying to kind of turn that mark and do something different. What did you also hear about Donovan Thomas? That on the night that he was gunned down, that he was at the barbershop, getting his hair cut, his brother was there, and what were they getting ready to do? Meet with their daddy to go watch the football game. I think it was the Ravens and the Patriots. Don't quote if I'm wrong, but I think it was the Ravens and the Patriots. And that's what he was getting ready to do. Spend time with his father. You know that he has a biological brother, but he also has a brother, which Kelvin Watts, who's super close to him, that they are brothers, but not biologically, but they share a brother, so they call themselves brothers. He said he was trying to get in the music industry. That's him with Wycliffe Lucci. That's him with Rich Homie Quan. And so much so that after his death, Lucci had a whole album dedicated to him, Long Live Nut. And we know that Peanuts was his nickname. Now let's go over some timelines, because I think oftentimes we focus just on the murder, but there's some things that led up to that day that is very important for you to consider as you continue to live. So we know September 2014, Rich Homie Quan's father's barbershop shooting. Now Mr. Copeland, we're going to talk about Mr. Copeland, told you on the stand here that him and Threat were responsible for that. YSL members responsible for shooting up the shop of a YFN gang member. Or shoot the father of a IS gang associate. Then if you can recall, in all of the different interviews, majority of them, Mr. Copeland talked about this shooting at the Lakewood gambling house. He talked about it in mostly every interview when he kept on telling them about the history of him and Kelvin. And he talked about the fact that Kelvin had shot up the gambling house and shot up Thug's car. Then he talks about, in multiple interviews, a meeting at Cascade Skating Rink, in which him and Kel were there. Kel wanted Copeland to call Thug so they can maybe squash whatever issue that they had. And that when Thug, Mr. Williams, got on the phone, he asked Kelvin, "Are you going to pay for my car window?" Kelvin said no. They got into it, and it kept on going. You heard about the January 6th fight at Club Crucial, in which Copeland was jumped at the club, and then upon leaving the club, there was a fight with Bloody J, that some YSL members jumped on Bloody J, and that Kendrick and Arnold, they were arrested when they left the club. And that's going to be important, because when we talk about phone records, why we don't have some phone records from Mr. Kendrick. Then we have the January 8th shooting at TIG Studio, where Rich Homie Quan's purple truck was shot up. There was some alluding to the fact that Copeland did that shooting. I think Quindarius Zachary may have said in his interview that Copeland did that shooting. Then there was that blood meeting the night before the murder. Now, I know that Mr. Sharp played for you the clip in which Copeland says that the blood meeting was about him, but remember, the blood meeting was also about Mr. Williams. And he said that in one of his interviews, that the blood meeting just wasn't about him, but it was about him, Copeland, and Mr. Williams. Then on January 10th, you have the death or the murder of Mr. Donovan Thomas at 330 McDaniel Street. Then you have the retaliatory shootings begin immediately. See, the streets knew what it took the state and the government a long time to figure out. They went directly to who they thought killed Donovan Thomas. They immediately started shooting at Jeffrey Williams' family's house and Kenneth Copeland's family's house, because they thought that both of them were in on it. Also, in the late morning hours, early on January 11th, Kenneth Copeland meets with the Atlanta Police Department, and many of the YSL members, they flee to Miami. You have more retaliatory shootings. I'm going to go back. Then in April, between April and May of 2015, you have the incident at the Dunbar Center where Copeland is found with that gun. They don't arrest him then. He calls Gaither speaks to him, they let him go. But once they did more investigation, they got the video surveillance from the Dunbar Center. They arrest him on June 10th, and then that's when he does the 9-hour interview that we'll discuss. In August of 2015 was Quindarius Zachary's interview. In September of 2015, Shannon becomes the target of 2 shootings, one at the Green Store, the other one with Miss Tierra Jones. In October 2015, arrest warrants are taken out for Garlington, Copeland, Sledge, and Stillwell. In November 2015, there was a preliminary hearing. The case was dismissed against Sledge. In 2016, the case was dismissed against Garlington and Copeland, and Stillwell received a bond. Between 2016 and 2018, There was some additional investigation and follow-up, and the indictment came in 2022. We're going to talk more about these dates, but I want to give everyone a general timeline overview. As Mr. Atkins talked to you about earlier, you determine the credibility of the witnesses. And I can't remember if Mr. Shard or Mr. Weinstein who said it, but they are absolutely right. We don't choose our witnesses. The witnesses and our victims are chosen by the crimes that are committed. So when you do your gang murder and you brag to your gang member friends that you murdered someone, then the person I have to bring in here to tell you what happened is the gang member friend. And the gang member friend isn't going to want to tell you in front of them what they told the police. So that's why I had to fight. Ms. Love got to fight. We got to argue with them back and forth because now they have to come in here and confront the people that they snitched on in front of them. So, and they know that. They know that none of these witnesses want to come in here and say what they told police. And they're begging on you to say, I don't know. I mean, he did swore an oath in court and said that he told the God's honest truth. Let's come and tell them God's honest truth in this courtroom. Maybe some of the stuff he told was truthful. Here, man, like he said, he's doing a little bit of truth sometimes. That's what he said, right? So he did that a little bit, and we'll talk about that in a moment. What's going to be important are prior statements. It is important because you as a juror get to determine the witness credibility, right? And this may be affected by you comparing and contrasting the testimony to statements or testimony of that same witness before trial started. You, the jury, can decide whether there's a reasonable explanation for any inconsistency in a witness's pre-trial statements or testimony when compared to that same trial testimony. And we're going to actually apply common sense and reason to decide what testimony you believe or do not believe. So let's go through the evolution of Kenneth Rudy Cole. Let's take some time, all right? January 11th. This is hours after the murder. His girlfriend's house just got shot up, and they call him. Thorpe calls the girlfriend to kind of check in on and see what's happening with their shooting, and they put Copeland on the phone. See, on January 11th, when he walks inside, he real strong YSL, right? He's not trying to give up his friends. He want to let the police know, I didn't murder. Now, let me tell you something. I didn't murder Donovan Thomas. I'm going to tell you I was at my girlfriend's house. I'm going to tell you I went to the green stove. I went to McDonald's. He's not going to give you too much information because here, he's trying to still protect his friends. That's just common sense. The police don't really know what's going on yet. So when he first goes in, he's trying to protect his friends. But then we get January 28th. See, if y'all remember, y'all, this is after he gets out the shootout on the highway. See, this is after he came from the little pool party, and he on his way home, and they shoot at him at the highway. And remember, in this interview, he talks about, I believe, Shannon being upset with him because he ain't want to shoot at him. So here, he's trying to tell them everything that YFN people are doing to him, but he's still not trying to give up his friends. Just stay his friends. But he's a little frustrated because everyone's blaming him for murdering Donovan Thomas, and everyone's shooting back at him, and he didn't do anything. Then we get February 20th. Now this was the worst one because that's when he's trying to come out the house and take his baby to the hospital, and they come down the street shooting at him. So now he's like, they are shooting at me, they're shooting at my baby and my girl. Look, this is too much. And he tells them about what happened. Again, this is the interview where he really didn't want to give up who shot at him. He knew who did it, but see that gang street code is he still didn't want to give up the person who shot at him and his baby. And that's when Kirk was like, you're not going to tell me who just shot at you and your baby? Then the next day was February 21st. They had arrested him for a violation of probation. He was upset because they arrested him on violation of probation. And Gaither talks to him, one, about the shooting that had happened the day before. And trying to get more information about the murder, trying to figure out what is going on. What is going on with this back and forth? Because by this time, and ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to go through that whole litany, we're going to call it Operation Planner shooting, but you heard evidence of all those shootings that were happening back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And they're trying to get a grasp of what is happening. And then we get to the 9-hour interview. So what happened between February and June? A lot. We got some back and forth shootings. Remember, Mr. Copeland went to jail for that violation of probation. He came out. He went to Henry County for a little while. And then on June 10th, he gets arrested for the gun that he had at the Dunbar Center back in May. And what's going on here? Mr. Copeland is tired. He been getting shot at. His family been getting shot at. Homes getting shot up. Remember Kenneth Hurst or Kenny Boo's house? His sister-in-law, his sister's child's father's home has been broken, getting shot at. And Shannon and Mr. Williams not talking to him. Remember Shannon, and he thought Mr. Williams was trying to kill him. That's everything he talks about in this 9-hour interview. And let me say this. If some reason y'all want to watch all these interviews again, y'all can. Y'all just got to let them know. I don't know if you want to sit there and watch a 9-hour interview again, but if you wanted to, you can. But in this interview, he is at the place where enough is enough for him. And I'm going to tell you about Mr. Copeland. I'm going to tell you about Quindarius Avery. They are self-preservationists. What do I mean by that? They're going to not talk about what they do because they don't want to go to jail. But if telling on them is going to get me out of jail, I'm going to tell you what's happened. Because I don't want to go to jail. He's absolutely right. He did not want to go to jail. But he's not going to lie to the police about what they did. He's going to minimize what he's done. And that's what he did in this interview for 9 hours. He minimized his involvement in some things, but he told everything that they did. And if you don't believe what he told the police, well, let's listen to what he told his girlfriend on the jail call.
Sorry. Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. Look how you're with. Come on, right? Yeah.
So in that call to his girlfriend, to the love of his life at the time, he tells them, I need Dee to come in so they can believe, so they can know what I told them is true. They had to verify what I said. So when he came in and said, I will finesse the police, I will lie to them. No, because you wanted them to verify what you told them. And we're going to talk about how the police and Mike Sprinkle was able to verify what he told them. Let's listen to this June 16, 2015 call.
The video was so, man, I just kept trying to make myself. I think try to pretend like a pizza, it's locked up, bro. And the whole time, it's like he tried to pick me up, bro. And she got me so mad, bro. She go like, hey, she didn't know that.
They didn't go over what John said.
Nah, yeah. Yeah, he's supposed to already come back. He showed me this about something going to what they was putting started and have more real things like he, you know what I'm saying? Damn fair. He should have put his name. You know, reference, he should put his name down. Put my name down. So I'm trying to get out myself. I was just fucking crazy, bro. I'll be like, just something. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to go to that. So, like, family. Here's my thing. All the time, I ain't got anything. I mean, I was I ain't got a fight. I ain't even have a conflict. It's just so crazy, man. Then you have a conflict. Yeah, conflict door.
Who is on the door? Nothing.
Yeah, all that. Yeah, that's what. That's what it makes.
That's about
So what is he saying there? Why you put my name in the song? He know who did it. Because they all know who did it. They knew that it was Yak, Doo-Wop, Shannon, and Nard. And Kendrick Copeland is upset because he's like, why you put my name in the song? Put the ones who did it in the song. So they can stop targeting me. Now, let's talk about his trial testimony. You know, I actually do like rap music, contrary to popular belief. And there is an artist, Young Jeezy, and he has a song called Put On. And I'm telling you what Copeland and Zachary did while they testified here, was they put on for YSL. They came in here acting all types of foolishness. And that's because they wanted to show their gang member friends, look, I'm still part of the conspiracy. I know I snitched on y'all back in 2015, but I'm gonna try to help y'all out as best as I can. And that's what they did this entire time. They friends. They've been friends for a long time. They wear the same clothes. They lay together. What makes you think that Demekion, when he got into that car at McDonald's and said, yo, let me tell y'all what they just did. Let me tell you what our homie, our boy for the last couple of years just did. They just killed Nut. Because Kenneth wasn't around. He was sleeping at his girlfriend's house. So he missed the action. So you don't think when Demekion get in the car, he's not going to say, yo, let me tell you what Shannon just did, Joe. They friends. And they want you to believe that Demekion did not tell Copeland what happened moments after it happened? That don't even make sense. And we're going to ask you your common sense. This is them. And these weren't all taken in 2015 because some of these are older pictures. They look super young. This is how long they've been friends. Now, it was interesting when Mr. Shard asked, why we show you this video from 2009? Let me tell you why. Because Quindarius been around for a long time. Quindarius been around since 2009. So Quindarius knows about what's happening. See, we didn't just bring you stuff. I know some days you're like, why does the state bring me a video from 2009 in the park? It's to show the evolution of their relationships. Quindarius is a little bit different than Copeland. Because see, he's been around Mr. Williams much longer than Copeland's ever been in the picture. See, Mr. Copeland started coming around in 2014. Mr. Zachary's loyalty is a little bit different. He's been around since 2009. So when Zachary tells you in his interview, Thug ain't know nothing about that murder, Yes, he did. But his loyalty is a little different because he's been around. 2012. That's Mr. Zachary. You wanna know why we showed you the video of them outside in the apartment complex? To show their association. Again, Zachary been around again for a long time. He real better than it. He rocked through YSL. So he has a motive to lie for Jeffrey Williams that Kenneth doesn't have as much of. In his interview. See, when Quindarius interviewed, he asked to come and speak to the police. And you're going to watch his interview because what both of them do in their interviews, both Copeland and Quindarius, and this is how you know they were telling the truth, they would correct the officers. If the officers were repeating something that was wrong, they would say, no, I ain't say it like that. I said it like this. That's what they would do. That's how you know that what they were trying to tell them, they were trying to be as truthful as they could so that they would get it right. They being the police would get it right. And again, same thing. He come in here talking about he wanted to take one of the investigators out, all types of nonsense. But again, putting on for YSL. And again, he's been around. They friends. They friends. And why would they lie on their friends? If they knew to make up stuff and make up lies, why would you lie and say your friends committed a murder? That doesn't make sense. Why lie? You could just say anybody made up the murder. If you were just lying, you don't want anybody to verify what you were saying, you could have said anybody committed the murder. But that's not what they did. So there were a lot of different witnesses that came in about Donovan Thompson's murder, but we're going to talk specifically about these individuals. Investigator Thorpe, he was the original detective on the case. He took out those arrest warrants in October, and that was after talking to an individual by the name of Spencer Wright. He then turned his file over to Mike Sprinkle. Then we have both Dennis and Gaither. They were both just because of the back and forth that they were investigating, just ended up talking a lot about the murder with all these different individuals. And then you have Kenneth Copeland and Quindarius Zachary. And then what did Mike Sprinkle tell you? When he got the file, he reviewed it, and the first thing he did was realize that Spencer Wright was lying, and said, okay, I have to get rid of this information. And it was something that Mr. Shard said, which I found interesting. Mr. Shard said that Nicholas Robinson, aka Spencer Wright, is an example of individuals who will say anything just to get out of jail. But the difference between Nicholas Robinson and Quindarius and Kenneth Copeland is that Mr. Sprinkle couldn't verify what Nicholas Robinson said. But he was able to verify what Quindarius and what Kenneth Copeland said. So, did Mike Sprinkle corroborate Kenneth Copeland and Quindarius Zachary? Emphatically, yes. So let's talk about the activity before the murder. And some of these are the videos, but there was no dispute about the Lakewood shooting and Club Crucial. And what you have in both of those interviews is that both Copeland and Zachary actually sat and talked about those shootings. I'm not going to play the video for you, just in an abundance of time, but we know that those two things at least were not disputed. So let's talk about the day of and the days after the murder. So what did Copeland tell you about that morning? What did the phone records tell you? I know that's kind of small, but you'll have the phone records in the back. That between 6:37 and 7:26, Copeland's phone was in the area of his girlfriend's house. right? That's QR's, Copeland's girlfriend's residence, which is on Maury. His phone was pinging in that area, and that's between 6:37 and 7:26. If you can recall, the 911 call for the murder came in at 7:22. At 7:26, he is still at his girlfriend's house after the murder. So this notion, when they say, well, Kenneth Copeland did it, I know somebody who could have done it, well, it wasn't Kenneth Copeland. The person who did it is Stillwell, Gat, Nard, and Dubai. Because Kenneth Copeland was at his girlfriend's house at 7:26. Then he says he went to the Green store.
That night, birthday. And then it's like, and like, you know, get up. He got my way, we should be down there, I'm not going to so I thought he like, no, please, bro. I don't think it comes to come. It's a white choice. Alright. So I'm on a bus house. I go to the car. Give me the car. I keep the car full of the green shoes. Why I did green shoes? Now I caught door like cops right in there. I caught door, you know. So I was like, come. I got put with green shoes. I ain't glad. So I'm talking to the Rick. Man, the Rick talking like cops. He said he don't see. So Rick said, oh, when you go, I was looking at the girl. He's like, alright.
What did the phone records tell you? He went to the Green store. He's at the Green store at 7:28. Between 7:28, he's at the Green store. And then he travels down towards the McDonald's, like he told him. And here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, about corroboration and phone records. He doesn't know we're going to pull the phone records later. He doesn't know that Mike Sprinkle in 2016, almost 8 months after this, that we're going to pull the phone records to see whether or not what he's saying is true. I know he came in here and said, I got 2 phones, I had 2 phones and all this other stuff. He didn't have 2 phones. And if he had 2 phones, the main phone is the phone that he was calling his girlfriend on. You can look at the records will show who he's talking to. He's talking to his brother and his girlfriend on the phone he's talking about. Corroboration, I'm not going to play it, but he says, because you just heard him say he goes down to the McDonald's.
I get car. I ride cheap. I put at the McDonald's. Put it outside. I'm people over there. I'm yeah. So I put it at McDonald's. So he got it put in. So they put in. Who was he with? He was Benjamin. So they put in. Billy them moved. He said, I don't know. He's in there. It was D, no, and then the only I think no. They like to do D, no, they do Shane and Yang. All of them in one concept. What kind of problem? They actually got the light. Oh, they got out. I mean, no, he got out. So when he got home, he got money.
So he's talking about that white nitro. Ladies and gentlemen, that is from the Dexter Montgomery shooting. What is that? That's the white nitro that Nard and DK came in from OG Bentley's house. So is it ironic that, oh my goodness, OG Bentley has a white Dodge nitro? That small fact is corroborated. He talks about getting the call from Antonio Sledge.
I got a call, right? So they found that, but they got shot. I heard what, like, man, you got to put his name in here. I know he's screaming, but I'm telling him, like, I think he got close. I didn't have.
And what I'll say is, and we'll just go back just very quickly, he told you that he FaceTimed with Antonio Sledge. We know that FaceTime don't come on records, on phone records, but that entire night, him, Antonio Sledge, and Zachary are in communication. What you will see is none of those 3 people rarely talk to another group of individuals that we're going to talk about next. So again, things are corroborated that Copeland is saying. Here he's going to talk about that everybody went to Jeffrey Williams' condo.
So, where are they following y'all? They follow it. Okay, y'all follow this. Yeah, but when you told me, I didn't follow it. But he got told me. I'm trying to teach you, I should say what I know. So we found at the store. They stayed downtown on Chicago. Thursday. I found them there. So I found them there. She stood it up. So now I got covered. Like, what did they kill her? Like, who? Like, he did point right there. I mean, I pointed to the arm. Yeah. So I'm like, where? He's like, what? So, first thing I say, what?
So here you'll have these phone records in the back. This shows phone activity near Mr. Williams' condo between that time of 7:31 and 11:22. Again, he talks about the condo. And remember in this call, in this interview, he first talked to Gaither and an ATF agent. Then later, Thorpe came in. He kind of repeats what happened, right? And that's what is going on. But again, consistently talking about being around the condo. They both talk about going to Miami after the murder.
This is the same night. He got kicked in the night. He's like, all the time. So, man, like, the people that driving around, he called him. And the person got around, he's a personal, like, personal man. So he had him to drive him straight to Florida, straight to like him, Doug, his sister, the girl, and another, and yeah, and all them go straight to Florida. So they went to Florida. Now, I said, you call right there, I did. Now, I mean, you like, well, what you call out? I was like, yeah, but I didn't do that, you know what I'm saying? And everybody thinking like, I held the phone, walked out. And when I walked out, I heard that you like, I quiet. So you didn't want to, so you went back and talked to your quiet. Those are going out of town. Yeah, those are going out of town. Where'd you go? Florida. Okay. That night, we both went to their day by that one. But we did get them on. 4 went down to Florida. Me, Shannon, B, Wood, yeah. No.
So that's them both talking about them going down to Miami. Now, in court, that's probably one thing that they talked about, that they all went to Miami. But they all said they went for this concert in Miami. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we showed you all the flyers, and there's no flyer in Miami for January 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th. The only flyer in Miami or in Florida was in Tampa Bay. So the question becomes, why are y'all going to Florida right after Donovan Thomas was murdered? To flee. Because YSL knew what they did. And they had to get up out of Dodge. And they went down to Birdman's house to lay low until things, maybe some of the dust starts to settle. And we had the phone records to show you all that they all went to Miami, all the different phone records in Miami after the murder, and the times that they all went after the murder. Now, we talked about the Grand Infinity. They both discussed, well, Copeland said there was Thug that rented the Grand Infinity. Zachary, I told you his loyalty is a little bit different. He didn't want to say Thug rented the Grand Infinity. He talked about it was a meeting. But we both know that this Grand Infinity was rented. And I won't play the video for you, but there are the 2 clips. If you want to play it later, you can play it.
He said it was an infant.
And how was that corroborated? Mr. Sprinkle found a Hertz rental car record in order to corroborate, is what Mr. Copeland said accurate? Was there a rented gray vehicle? Almost a year later, he finds the rental car. That is corroboration of what Kenneth Copeland said. He literally took everything that Kenneth Copeland says and said, can I corroborate this? And that's what he did. Now let's talk about who they both said. Now remember, Copeland is in June, Zachary is in August.
Yeah. So who's in the car? That's supposed to be the dropout maker. This was a deep ghost story. He said, I think he was in the huge house, and he said they rolled past the same place, standing outside. They went somewhere and changed clothes. Nah, they really was. I dropped Sandy out the door house. I had went home like anymore. And then door left and was rolled past nothing and seen him. And went to the gas station and seen Jack and he pumped. And the gas station, we were talking to the gas station. I just did your story, so they seen them basically called the gas station. Door got in the car with the girl. Door got sent to the seat. They got in the car with the girl. And they were four of them in the car. Jack, Shannon, Noah, and Juror.
Right? That's Copeland in June. Here's Zachary in August.
This is all what Shannon is telling me. That was it's both. Shannon had told, but this Shannon what Shannon told me first. So Shannon, they both told me the same story. Where were you guys when Shannon was telling you this, and what day was it? Same day or day after? Same night. Shannon, I was walking through, I just walked in, and they pulled up at the house. And Shannon can go over her house. And all the boys were going out the gun, like, he got some gun, but they see most of them gun. Right. Somebody them hanging on. They see most of them gun and go to the store. So they went, I don't put it. And Shannon started talking. Most of them still, he know where they're at. Right. He know that they're not even killed. Now, he would have said they got killed, but he know that they did. They're like, I'm talking to them. That's what I heard. And then Shannon tell me the story. Say they were going to be bushes, but they woke up and seen another. Say they had rolled back around. And then they started shooting them. So we had So
He said it was Jack, Nard, and Duwop. This is two different interviews. Copeland is telling them what the Meekon told him, and Zachary is telling the police what they was Stillwell and Yak told him. But how we have the same people? Yak, Nard, Duwop, Stillwell. That does not change. That's corroboration of each other. Two different interviews. Two different times. Saying the same people? Ladies and gentlemen, that's evidence. That ain't no coincidence. And remember what Copeland said, which I found interesting. When they asked, do you remember what gas station? He's like, I don't know what gas station. How would he know that Yak was at the gas station and that they circled the block and pulled up and saw Donovan outside? If they didn't tell him that. He didn't even know what gas station they were at. But what did Mike Sprinkle do? He said, well, let me go pull the gas station footage and see if I can corroborate what he's saying. And that's exactly what he did. He pulled up the January 10th Texaco gas station and see when the car pulls into the gas station, the Bonneville. And in that same interview, they asked him, well, what kind of car was Yak in initially? He tells them it was a Bonneville. How would he know? He doesn't know that we're going to find a surveillance video. But they want you to believe Kenneth is lying? For what? You have Yak going inside the gas station. That's him in the gas station. They sit at Texaco from 6:44 to 7:15. They wait for the girlfriend to come, and when the girlfriend comes, that's about the same time that the Infinity pulls up. What you waiting for 30 minutes at the gas station for? Who waits at the gas station that long? You had to meet Bushi at that gas station? What did Reginald Hendricks tell you? Why cell folks don't hang around out there? They get their gas and they get on. If they even get gas over there. Because that's not their territory. Their territory is Cleveland Avenue. So why are you sitting there for I don't do math well, but what's it, almost 40 minutes? But they want you to believe he's just lying. For what? Then that's when the infinity pulls up. And on the video, Yank walks over to the car. Now, I know Mr. Shar said, well, my client ain't on the video. Well, we just can't see him on the video. I submit he in the car. Then they both leave at the same time, and they both turn right on Northside Drive. Now this is the video. We'll speed it up. And in fact, from the still shots, you can see kind of the movement. And I wish I can't pause it because it's running. You see where they came out? They came down and again. Well, what's right above here? It's the barber shop. I know Mr. Weinstein tried to say it's a block away. It ain't a block away. Literally, when you go out here, you look up the street, you see the barber shop. It's not a block away. It's yards away. So they had a vantage point to see them when he's driving down McDaniel Street. He's the one that alerts them. Kendrick. If Kendrick didn't tell them that he saw Donovan, maybe we wouldn't be here today on a murder charge. He did that. He's the one who alerted them. That's why he's just as guilty as the ones who shot. This is then when we sped through the video. So now it's about 9:05. That's Doo-Wop getting out I submit to you, that's Doo-Wop getting out the car, smoking his cigarette. I submit probably trying to look to see if he's still out, if Donovan's still outside, so they can see how much time they had before Donovan go inside and go get his hair cut. And they just waiting. That's when we believe Bushi pulls up in that car. And that's Kendrick. Initially, he was at the passenger side. And then that's the driver, that's I submit to you all, that's Bradford. He gets out the car. Then you see Mr. Kendrick kind of waves to the infinity. Then he walks over to the infinity. I submit that's when they're going to talk about what they're going to do, how they're about to kill Donovan, what they're going to roll around, do what car, what guns in the car, how they're going to do it, who's going to do what. He now gets back in the driver's seat. And we talk about where did they switch cars. I submit to you, behind the gas station. They both made a right in a moment. I'm going to show you what's right behind the gas station where they could have easily switched cars. And remember we talked about the time, so it's not 8:08. Remember this time is off by a few moments. And that's them coming down the street in the infinity, shooting. Of course, you're going to see, I'm going to play this all this, the reaction, what happens in the store. You got babies running. Bullets have no names. And they have the audacity to tell you that we're sitting here trying to charge people of color? No. You should not have to be sitting here on a Saturday trying to get your hair cut and have bullets come inside of a barbershop. Bullets have no names. And there was babies in the front. But you just spraying down the street for once. For your status in YSL. So you can show Mr. Williams that you big and bad. That's what this is about. And that's Donovan's brother. Outside. I submit he saw what happened, but you know what? He ain't gonna tell us. He ain't gonna talk to the police, because that's what the gang culture is. So this is the Texaco. That's Northside Drive. And here are two streets. This one is a one-way street, but they don't follow the law, so I submit that they went up the one-way streets. And this is another street. They could have went up either, I submit to they went up the one-way street, because again, they don't follow the law. So when they turn right, they switch cars behind here. They switch behind here. It takes no time to drive up the wrong way street, drive back down, and come back down and do that shit. That's where they switch the cars at. They both. I guess me and Aaron will show you that. And this is where he talks about it. I'm not going to play it for you, but that's what he said. And let me tell you something. This is how you know they switch cars. We told you he came in the Infinity with Juror Bradford, right? This is Juror Bradford phone records. After the murder, this is him between 6:36 and 7:19. You see the crime scene, he's stationary around the crime scene, right? There's a gap in time between 7:19 and 7:24. At 7:24, between 8:08, this is where Bradford's home is, right? From 7:31 all the way to 8:08. What's over here? Oak Drive. OG Bentley House. Where they said they got rid of the guns. Let me tell you what he's doing. He waiting for them to come back. And you want to know how we know that Yak isn't in the car with him anymore? This call right here.
Security. You may start the conversation now.
Two. Look down. Y'all gonna sit there like this? Nah, he gonna, we done to get there, Nah, he ain't. Y'all good? Yeah.
Hey, Goldie, Ma.
Who that is?
Who's?
What's up, short stuff?
What are you
Let's
doing?
go. Yeah. What's going on? Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. What up?
You hear what he said? Where Yak Gotti at? We waiting for him to pull up. That's at 7:42. That's when, let's go back, y'all. That's when he waiting down here. At 7:42, which is one of the calls that's right here, Yak ain't with him. You want to know why? Because Yak with the other 3 murderers. That's where Yak at. What evidence do we have? No, we don't have DNA. You want to know why? They got rid of the car. No, we don't have DNA. You want to know why? Because they got rid of the guns. All we have is what they told their co-conspirators. And that's what I had to bring to you. What I have are the phone records. What I have are the surveillance videos to corroborate what the co-conspirators said. Because I don't have those things. I wish I had them, but they got rid of it. That's Yak the night of. What'd he say? Maniac's back. That's what he said, right? Y'all know me in my Santana voice. You right. The maniac's back. He just drove the car that took somebody's life. For no reason. For no reason. That's just to show you, that's Juror Bradford in that Pontiac. That's on that surveillance video. This is when they talk about the guns used to commit the murder.
Go back to that. Make sure everything's right. Demetrius pretty much told you with him, Shannon, Nard, Bentley, now, they decent. You know, they can't shut it around the cup. This girl I told him that I was going to go to her. So it was yak driving, sharing with the AK, guard with pills and doo-wop with pills. Now, I'm saying you are had this, okay? Right? But you just know what seats, how they go sit in the car, all you know the yak drive. That's what drive. That's based on what condition I told you. Yeah, little bit. Okay.
We gonna lie. Why not say doo-wop had a gun? Let's lie. Like, we gonna lie big. Everybody had a gun. But he didn't do that. He said, nah, I don't think doo-wop had a gun. I don't think so, but I definitely know Yak was driving, because if we gonna lie, say Yak had a gun too. But he didn't do that.
I'm still not good yet. What's wrong? Yes, AK-72, right? He said, you gonna say what kind of gun they had for the person, right? He said, AK-72, who's on that? No. What else? They're on a 4.5. Who's on 4.5? Shit. You know what brand was? Like HP or something. XP? Yeah.
What are the shell casings? How he know it was a 7.62? That's what Donovan was killed with. Those the bullets that came out of Mr. Thomas. The shell casings that was found, there was multiple types of shell casings. 45s, 9s, and 7.62s. How they know that? This is called corroboration. This is called verification. They don't know they don't know what bullet was pulled out of Donovan Thomas's body at the autopsy. They don't know what shell casing the police picked up off the ground. But ironically, they know, it's not ironic, they know the type of guns that they use.
Y'all pull up on Cleveland, and the female right now, they got like, they talk like, so they got guns, they had 2 guns, got chopper in the handgun, they got guns that put in the cup, and they just bent the roll out to the cup. So when the business pull up, you didn't take his name. Yeah, he was driving the white truck. He the one took them to Chicago. I said, you know, they confidently asked to shoot. Yeah, they look where they want to please. Then the style was on please. Right. You did. So I guess they were throwing straight bench spot. And when the throw was at bench spot, they pulled up on throw. And we got a bench spot, they went to cut down. And then he said, I don't know do a bench. They had to be somebody, if it wasn't bench, it was somebody that, he got the cup, he was never with the cup. You know what I'm saying? And we cleared up the kind of guns. And you know what kind of car it was, like, it was an Infinity, I think. Yeah. That's a new one. You know, was it somebody's registered car, or was it a regular ground car?
Well, they usually bring the car from.
Yeah.
And when he finishes, he's at the airport.
What he's doing now? Like, I know, when you finish the story, they come good. They took the guns in the car, OG Smith. No business. 2 captured. They gave him guns in the car. What did he do with it? He hit the gun and they took another car back. Do you know what he hit the gun again? I don't know he hit the gun. I know they took it to his spine, please. You know where it is, please? It's not. Get home for that. It's on Oak, on Oak Drive? Yeah.
Y'all saw the address I showed y'all, right? It's on Oak Drive. That's Bentley spot. And isn't it ironic that that's where the guns was kept in April when Dexter Montgomery, when they went and shot up at Dexter Montgomery, they got all the guns from Bentley spot. Bentley keep the guns. That's what happened here. When we talk about interrelatedness, this is the interrelatedness that we are talking about. The same location, you drop one gun off, you pick one gun up. That's what happened. That's what Walter Murphy, I'm not even going to play the clip, but that's what Walter Murphy told you back when he was interviewed in July about OG Bentley's spot. You think that that's ironic that both Copeland and Zachary talk about the guns going? Oh, and the phone records corroborate that all the phones was at Bentley's house right after the murder? All of those things are corroboration. That's evidence. And I know this is kind of faint, but I'm going to tell you what he says in this call. Let me give you a little background about this call. This is November 19, 2015. This is after his preliminary hearing. Y'all heard about the preliminary hearing, right? And you heard them talk about the fact that a couple things, that they didn't talk about witnesses by name. They said it by witness number 1 and witness number 2. This is what he says. Fuck D. Fuck them niggas, bruh. All that fake friend shit. Fuck nigga. He know what's going on. Pussy ass nigga. That's what he said. Fuck niggas are rats. He ain't say he lied on me. He said he a rat. I just went to court and they let everything out. That fuck nigga a rat. Him, Woody, and the other little D. Bitch, you in love with a rat, hoe. That's anger. Why? Because you just heard that your friends, because you didn't really know it was them, but they said witness 1 and witness 2, you were able to infer that your friends told the police about what you did the night of Donovan Thomas's murder. These are his words. He didn't say, yo, them dudes, I went to my prelim and they lied on me. He didn't say, oh man, they I don't know where they got this information from. He said they are rat. Because what do rats do? They tell. And he was angry that his voice would tell what he did. Let's talk about their songs. This. Ladies and gentlemen, we told you that between 2016 and 2019, there was no court's involvement. From 2019 to 22, there was no indictment, nothing happening in the case. So in 2019, which is 4 years after the murder, he knows that Sledge has been dismissed, Copeland has been dismissed, and Garlington has been dismissed. His case is the only one that ain't been dismissed. In 4 years, you haven't heard about an indictment. You think you beat a murder rat. This isn't, oh, he was on this and that. He thought he beat a murder rat because you're not indicted until almost 7 years later. So you think you got away with it. I keep a stick, ain't avoiding no smoke, a chopper. I just beat a murder rat, pay my lawyer $30 for that. Me and my slimes above the law. I know it's mumbling, but he said, we don't work in court at all. And I wipe your nose, sit in your family's face, and just smile it off. Some of these things he repeats in multiple songs. This song, remember, these songs were on his phone when we found it in 2022, but remember we said that they may have been created maybe 2020, sometime between 2020 and 2022, right? At this point, they real brazen because they don't think they're going to get held accountable for the murder. So they start saying stuff in their songs like, I just beat a homicide. Ha, 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 walk it off. I just left that boy on the curb. Well, where was Donovan Thomas found, y'all? On the curb. I'm a big lizard, big slime, big shots, riding down your block, hanging out the top. Oh, shoot. Didn't Reginald Hendricks say that somebody was shooting out of the top of the infinity? See, now you start bragging on it because you think you beat it. So now you, like our experts told you, they start bragging about it. What we call is dry snitching. You telling on yourself. Because you don't think that the police are going to find your phone. That's why you threw it. But luckily for Viverito, she listened to them jail calls and found that phone. Because you didn't think we were going to find it. This is called confession. This ain't rap. This is a confession. Over a beat. I don't give a fuck about a red light. I'm on go. I'm on green. I see an op. I'm taking him down. Walk him down from a mile. The last homicide, I smiled. How many times you gonna keep talking about the fact that you killed this man? And you bragging about it. This now song number 3. And then I can send the whole gang to the heavenly house? You good with killing folk. That's why you didn't kill Donovan, you didn't kill Shamel. I ain't even gonna play the song. Let's just talk about the words. Dodging all your shots and I'm watching my ops. Let that bitch rain out the top of the drop. Here we go again. Lizard walk your block, let that glizzy rock. Oh, glizzy. Ain't that a Glock? Dang. One Shamel killed with a Glock? Wasn't there a Glock on that table? Well, what investigator Viverito said it looked like a Glock. And I found it interesting because we're gonna get to Shamel soon. We're about to get to Shamel. He said that Shannon wasn't linked to the 40. But he linked to having guns thrown away. That's what he did in 2015. He's linked to the gun that was probably in the house an hour before he killed Shamel. Sitting on the table in front of him. We ain't gonna play this one either, but let's talk about what he's saying this. I see ops fall, shell, know my call. That shell kill y'all. Every slime play nasty. That's what he says in the song. They wonder how we lasting. Bout my gang, it will never end. Again, beat the hound. What do you think, y'all? No evidence. He don't realize that what his 2 co-conspirators said is evidence. Those interviews are evidence. His confession over a beat is evidence. This is evidence, ladies and gentlemen. And this is evidence you can take to the back, deliberate, and find him guilty. The surveillance video is evidence. No, we don't have his phone records, but you got his 2 friends telling y'all what he did. And they don't got no reason to lie on him. For what? Donovan Thomas was the big homie. There was no need for that ad lib at the end of the song. But again, in 2020, they brazen. They have the audacity to think that they can just brag about killing somebody and no one's going to hold them accountable. That's what they're doing in 2020.
rounds in a Tahoe, hell, like, of your tacos.
100 rounds in a Tahoe? Everyone knew that Donovan drove a Tahoe. And how ironic is it that he got rounds of bullets in his Tahoe and on the street? So they want you to believe, oh, that's a creative line Mr. Williams did. No, it's not. It's him bragging. It's him bragging. It's him wanting to claim responsibility for it. And we talked about judging, like when I say subliminal messaging. But the subliminal is you, as the consumer, don't know what he's talking about. But his family, who know that Donovan drive a Tahoe, know exactly what he's talking about. Everyone in the gang knows exactly what they're talking about because that's who he's talking to. But because the masses bop to the song, they say, well, no, that's just his artistry. No, that's just his confession and his bragging over a beat. When he says we know how to kill the biggest kitten of all kitties, what do you got crawling up on him? A snake. They sign. That is a subliminal message to everyone else. Yeah, we did that. What's at the end? He got a rat going down his mouth because they eat rats. They eat the people who snitch on them. He already told you himself, you ought to get killed from me and YSL if you snitch. See, that video is not just, oh, a nice artistic video. That has symbolism in it. So now they're guilty of all those. That's what we're talking about. Shamel. Young man, probably started associating with people from YFN. But on the day that he was about to get killed, he's about to go back to his girlfriend's house and go eat some spaghetti. That's what he's doing at the light. Getting ready to go back. You see him go inside the gas station. He's not worried about a thing. He doesn't know that seconds later he's going to lose his life. So the timeline here, this is, and I'll tell you here, this is a direct result of retaliation from the stabbing of Lucci. So what do we have? February 9th, Rayshawn Bennett gets stabbed in the Fulton County Jail by Jada Myrick. February 22nd, Eppinger calls Antonio Sumlin to see if he could get paid for finishing what Myrick didn't do. Then you heard about that emergency bond paperwork that was filled out on March 3rd. Then sometime around early March, the media hears about the YFN Lucci stabbing. It gets picked up on media. On March 11th at 3 a.m., two YSL associates, Christian McMillan and Darius Ford, are murdered on I-75 and I-85. That same night, there's a shooting at 12 Atlanta where a YFN associate gets shot in the head. On March 12th, there's a shootout on Cleveland Avenue with Damikion Garlington and the Ops. On March 12th, there's a 911 call shooting at 2830 Waters Road. March 14th, Shannon Stillwell rents the Audi A5 and puts dark tints on all the windows. March 14th, 10 o'clock, is the murder of Shamel Drinks. On March 16th, the shooting at Waters Road, where the investigator Vera Rito comes out. March 17th, there's a search of Waters Road where everything is taken out except for a few guns that they left behind. And then Stillwell and Nichols are arrested. Again, we talk about the state does not have to prove motive, but here, ladies and gentlemen, this is motive. Again, that's that same video with Quindarius, y'all. Christian McMillan's been around since 2009. This is Mr. Williams' long friend, old friend, good friend. And he gets murdered by YFN associates oh, you got to pay for that. Here we have just different pictures of them, both Mr. Ford and Mr. McMiller, all with other YSL associates. You'll have these in evidence, ladies and gentlemen. That's unfortunately the car that they were driving in when they were tragically gunned down on March 11th. So here's where the motive comes in, y'all. Just like YSL brags about doing stuff, YFN does the same thing. It's tragic. These posts were despicable. That post crossing out that young girl's daddy and saying that, despicable. But that's the type of stuff that gangs do, right? To keep nudging each other. Well, that would make you mad. You see how heartbroken YSL was for the death of Mr. McMiller and Mr. Ford. They were devastated. These are all different YSL members posting them because they were devastated. And that's where revenge kicks in. That is Mr. Stillwell's post. I ain't gonna be the only one crying. Nope, he right. The Drinks family crying. Because he had to make sure. And then what does he say here? Just rest, Mac. I got you, man. Crying emoji, broken heart, taped up heart, devil emoji. He was ready to go op hunting. I know that was in January, but that just goes to show you he already knew how to be on the prowl. He already knew how to go op hunting. And this is what Demekian say on the wiretap on about March 11th or March 12th. March 12th.
I ain't talking about the interview.
Oh, NB.
Yeah, you know, he don't know.
Yeah.
You know what he on. He on looking for them folks who killed our boys. That's what he on.
Yo, sleepy,
we went to look like some big head and like just said we went to look for them.
okay.
I said nobody.
Yeah, I know. Well, how many is that?
Big in the room.
In one.
Huh? Shit, same shit.
Sunset.
Same shit.
I was like, oh,
Some told me to come get me up. Shit, that was on.
yeah. Yeah.
Next time, me and Rob up. I said, man, Rob, don't get no cold.
Yeah.
I tried that shit yesterday with a nigga on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same shit. We all on the prowl. We looking. We went because we need to go find them folks who killed our boys. So we out hunting. Let's go rent this car. Now, you know, this notion that they rented the car because Taisha got into the gunfight. Well, she got into the gunfight on March 9th. So she got in the gunfight on March 9th. Why y'all just renting the car on March 9th? They rent the car on March 14th. Oh, here we go. And what do? Immediately go to the tent place to go get the rental car tinted. Well, why do you do that when you're op hunting? Because the ops don't know what kind of car you in. So you can disguise yourself in this Audi because they don't know you in it. So they're not suspecting you. That's not the car that they're used to. So when you go op hunting, you got to switch the car out because they're not expecting to find you in the car. And then you get tints, but not just regular tints, y'all, like dark black tints. Like you can't see nothing. Some may say those are not the tints you're ever allowed to have on your car. Why? Because you op hunting. What do we know about Shell Kell and Demekian Garnes on social media? What did investigative Rito tell you? That because she was following both pages, she could see who followed who, and Demekian followed Kelvin Wise. So what post do we see? This post was posted, I believe, on March 13th. And it's a picture of Mr. Drinks, Jasper Walters, and Kelvin Watts. And Shell Cal reposted it with the 2 shells, the zipper lip, and the black heart. And I guess for Mr. Stillwell and Mr. Garner, there must be a confession. Because this is the post that got Mr. Drinks killed. Because remember, no one knew who Mr. Drinks was. The investigators didn't know. When you listen to some of the wiretaps y'all listened to, they didn't know. So this post is the post that gets him killed. Not any verification. Not that you should have been killing anybody anyway, but no verification whether or not they actually did it or anything. But because Shell Cal posted 2 shells, a zip lip, and a black heart, that was Mr. Drinks' death sentence. Op hunted. The reason why we took this picture, y'all, is if you remember from the video, and we're going to look at the video in a moment, Shannon was parked about right here in the Audi. And we know that because you see him when he comes in. If you watch the videos, you see when he comes in. Remember that Mr. Drinks pulled up to this pump. No, this pump. They had the best vantage point to see when Mr. Drinks came in, when he walked into the store, when he walked back out the store, and when he pulled off. They were scoping it out. Verifying. I submit they in the car like, is that him? Oh, yo, I think he do got the same sneakers on. I think that's him, y'all. Scoping it out. Sit back. Watching it. Let's watch the video. Now this is where Mr. Stillwell, they get to the gas station. Now you see when Mr. Cormavius Nichols gets to the gas station. That's when Miles gets out the car. That's when Shannon walks to the car first, and we know it's Shannon because of the March 16th and wearing the same clothing. Of course, that's Cormavis Nichols when he walks inside the store. And then that's when Miles walks into the store. In his Slama dye shirt. Miles and Carmazon leave out the store, and Miles, in a moment, gets back into the car, and Carmazon is pumping the gas. Carmazon goes back into the store. And this Mr. Drinks pulling into the gas station. Now this is how ironic that Cormavius and Drinks never, you're going to see, they never see each other. Because Cormavius gets into the car and Mr. Drinks sits in the car for a little while. Now, it would appear that all their business is done at the gas station. But they don't leave. It is 21:56. Now Mr. Drinks is finally getting out the car. See where he's walking? He's walking closest to where Drinks and Demikian are in the car. Because remember, from here, y'all, you see the Audi lights. The Audi's here. He just walked right here. In the same sneakers from the picture. And coat and jacket. They're still sitting there. None of them come back into the store. And Mr. Drinks walks out. And he walks back to his car. Now it's 21:58. Neither car, they're not pumping gas. They're not getting anything. They're watching Mr. Drinks. I submit confirming that that's the person in that social media post. Now Shema has finally gotten into the car. And I submit this is what's happening.
Hey, okay, y'all pull up. Have a seat over here. Hurry up.
He wanted him to call on video real quick. Call him on FaceTime real quick. You know what happens on FaceTime. You've heard testimony about what happens on FaceTime. What happens on FaceTime is that is when criminal activity is planned because they think that FaceTime, you cannot track it. Now watch as Mr. Drinks pulls out of the gas station. They have been sitting there for minutes, y'all. Y'all been watching this video like, what we gonna do next? That's how long we've been sitting here. And as soon as Mr. Drinks pulls out, that is when op vehicle number 1 pulls out, op hunting car. And then that's when the second car immediately pulls out. They sat there, y'all. We were quiet for at least 2 minutes here when they did nothing. And they want to tell you that some other car killed him? That's them driving by the liquor store. They laid in wait until Mr. Drinks pulled out. You have to look at all the evidence together, not just the FedEx video, but we're going to talk about that FedEx video. This is them pulling up to the light. You see there's somebody walking on the street, walking this way towards the gas station. Here go the 3 cars pulling up at the light. Ladies and gentlemen, you can't see it here, but we know that there's a red light. Shannon and Nichols are stopped at the red light. They stop. Drinks is in the left turning lane. Shannon is right next to him, and Cormavis is right next to Shannon. Y'all now see the traffic going in the opposite direction that they are in. Then you see Nichols pull up. I'm just going to submit that this car stops here. This car, I think, saw what happened. Because he stops a little behind it, like, whoa. You had the person walking down the street. Mr. Sharp, and we're going to talk about this car in a moment, Mr. Sharp talked about what the medical examiner said. What she said was there will be no conscious movement. She didn't say anything about unconscious movement. Because that is what you see with the brake lights, y'all. No, he could not consciously say, let me go. But the unconscious movement, because he just been shot in his head, is what is happening. They, y'all got to think about this, because this is what they didn't want to show you. Shannon went from 18 miles per hour to 90 miles per hour. Mr. Shaw didn't want to talk to you about that. He want to tell you about a car that turned around because he heard the gunshot, but the man or woman walking down the street didn't hear any gunshot. That person walking, just chilling. You think if the people in the car heard the gunshot and turned around, don't you think that the person walking down the street would be like, hold up, let me back up. It's some gunshots down there. No. Could it be that maybe the car that turned around saw the liquor store and said, shoot, let me go get me a drink. It's Saturday. Could it be they left something at the gas station? He wants you to believe that the only reason why they turned around is that they heard gunshots. That doesn't make sense when someone is walking down the street. It don't make sense. Then let's talk about the car that was closest to them. You see what time the cars are going. Here are the 3 cars in a straight line. Do you see that straight line? It's a straight line. The 3 cars. Shannon's car is directly next to Mr. Drink's car. And that's going to be important when I show you these crime scene photos. This other car that he wants to talk about, that he's like, oh, this is the one who killed, this is the person who shot. Oh, and we couldn't get LPR. What? Where was I going to get LPR from? You can't see no license plate. I don't even know what type of car it is. That car is never directly next to Mr. Drinks. It is always behind. I submit they saw what happened. And when they inched up, they looked over, was like, oh, let me get up out of Dodge. As most other cars did, except for Mr. Cheeseborough. Mr. Cheeseborough's call did not come in until 10:27, because every other car did what that car did. They drove by it. That car actually waited at the red light. Versus Mr. Stillwell almost hitting traffic. So this notion that he stopped at the red light, if you didn't just shoot and kill somebody, why are you fleeing through traffic to get on the highway at 90 miles an hour? Use your common sense. Many of y'all, if y'all choose to talk to us at the end and you can, once the judge lifts all the admonitions, some of you may ask, how I get chosen? And we're going to say, because you got common sense. Your common sense will tell you that when you go from 18 miles per hour to 90 miles per hour, when you see the person who you think killed your best friend, that you shot and killed him. That's just your common sense. Not some random car that pulls up behind and unfortunately may have witnessed a shooting and they don't want to be involved. Let's look at the car. The crime scene pictures take pictures for a reason. Here go the bullet holes. 1, 2, 3. See, Mr. Sharp didn't show you that. Because if you see the crime scene photos will show you that the bullet went through the door where Mr. Stillwell's car was. And we'll talk about the gunshot residue. What makes sense? There's no muzzle flash anywhere on the video. So that's just nonsense. You don't see no muzzle flash. Mr. Drink's dead though. So we know a gun was fired. Let's take his theory. You don't see the muzzle flash when the other car pulls up, do you? You don't. That theory makes no sense. You have to take all the evidence. Not just FedEx, but everything that occurred. Like I told you, he went from literally, y'all, 18 miles all the way to 90. To 90. This is the intersection. This is 1 minute later. What you fleeing for 90 miles per hour if you ain't killed nobody? You was just chilling. And then you go to the studio and do what you do. You brag. Because remember, they all went to the studio. And what did he say? Pop my shit. I really got options. Poor little ops. Look how they just dropped it. Poor little ops. Look how they just dropped it. Those are his words. After he just executed a man at a light. He goes to the studio to go rap about it. This is why they think they above the law. This is what Demekian say afterwards. Now I know I don't know if y'all remember when them two got into it, Mr. Biffy Rito was like, he said city, he said C. No, he said, I'm coming back, we just coming back through riding trying to see. This is at early morning hours on March 15th. Why are you coming back through the crime scene if you ain't did nothing? Why? This is Mechanicsville, y'all. They went to Fulton Industrial. This is coming back in the city trying to see. They came back through. Why? Because they want to see, is the police still out there? What they doing? They canvassing? Any of the homeless people see what happened? Let me try and see what's going on. And then what did Demekian say afterwards? This on March 15th, y'all. We got y'all, boys. You right? They thought that they got him because they killed Mr. Drinks, who they thought murdered Christian and Darius. This is we got y'all, boys. Here's a direct response to the shooting. Remember, this on March 16th. YFN folks, and we know it's YFN, or we believe it's YFN, because remember, these shell cases match the shell cases of the Darius Ford, Christian McMillan shooting.
It's too much going on yesterday. And it's crazy. That's what they had. They got a brief going on. For real? Yeah. Yeah, no, they shot a big hit spot. I was in the thing. Oh, they shot a big hit spot, bro? Yeah, man. So we got down, thinking they gonna come back. Thinking they gonna come back. They threw. So they pulled up. Man, yeah, I'm gonna come to the window. You know, I was in the living room, it's crazy, because nobody can eat. And you know what one did was, one down when y'all don't eat. Yeah, for sure.
What'd he say? They shot a big Nick spot because their boy got killed in Mechanicsville. Again, the streets know before we know. But how did we find out? Because their house got shot up. And I don't know why they wear the same clothes. I have no idea. I don't know why they didn't want to change their clothes, but they decided they wanted to be in their same clothes for 2 days. I don't know. But they did. And that's how they found out. Remember what Investigator Hogan said, Investigator Flores, they didn't know really what happened on the night of. All he knew is he had some suspects on the surveillance video, and that's it. And just lo and behold, Viverito just at APD doing what she normally does, just say, hey, do you need help? And he's like, let me show you the surveillance video. This is all I got. And she's like, oh, snap. That's Shannon. I just saw him earlier today. Oh, and that's the car? He literally just told me that that's his car. And they were like, well, why would he do that? Why? I mean, if he just killed somebody in there, because they think they're above the law. So they go, and they don't know at the time what the police know. So he tells them. So let's talk about consciousness of guilt. So these are text messages on the 15th. And he is telling Poker, we need to get this hotel room. We need to get up out of Dodge. We need to lay low. He tells her, don't tell anyone any information. Why you gotta do all that if you ain't killed nobody? Because of what happened on the 9th? Well, why is it so urgent on the 15th? Not when she had to shoot the people on the 9th. You gotta ask yourself the question. This became real important the day after he killed Shamel. This didn't become important after she done almost got robbed. What else you have? You're searching for the crimes? They want to tell you, well, that's because his grandmama told him and his girlfriend told him. Well, they told him on March 14th about the shooting. He's not Googling on March 14th. He's Googling on the 17th. Oh, what happened? Viverito. Remember what they said in them jail calls? Shit, Miss V know everything. Right? They like, Miss V know everything. So that's why they start Googling, well, what Miss V know? What they got? This is the same way he started Googling on the 12th, on the 12th Atlanta shooting. What them folks got about that shooting over at 12th Atlanta? You know Steven did that. What they know? That's why you Googling. Consciousness of guilt. You done flat your good Chick-fil-A sandwich. Out of the park. What? Just start hearing them helicopters going. You like, hold on. It's the 17th. I've been Googling. I ain't heard a whole lot. Now I got helicopters? Let me get up out of here. The police sirens going, helicopters going, and they go fleeing. That's consciousness of guilt. You deleting contents from the phone? You got Grandma Betty helping you out deleting the contents of your phone? Why? Oh, because you don't want us to find that music you done put on there. You don't want us to find that those contents, those lyrics you've been writing. You don't want us to see the text messages that you out hunting. You got your, I don't know if it's a little brother, little cousin. I'm not going to play the call for you, but that's that call where Grandma Betty's like, you better hurry up and get home. You know what you got to do. Them folks got the phone. Why are we deleting the stuff? And it's not because of Poker. Because they didn't delete it until Viverito got the phone. He ain't want Poker to have the phone. We started deleting it when the police got the phone. That's consciousness of guilt, ladies and gentlemen. And then let's talk about the call that Mr. Shar played, because he ain't played the whole call. So we're going to play another portion of the call.
What's up, man? Man, shit right here. Huh?
I said, why you listen to the young boy? Leave that boy, right?
Yeah, you know, he's on that other boy, shit, bro. On that motherfucker.
For real. Are you on? Oh, this is another one?
Nice. This is,
Yeah, that man. Yeah, bro. I know, I said, man, just like this time, I said, that's what you're at. I told him,
I really coached one, so I did like, yeah. I can't, man, I'm fucking tripping on that motherfucker.
For real, man.
Yeah, I said, what shit? I said shit, I'm gonna go straight to the room. I had to stay out of that motherfucker.
Yeah. But, yeah, she told me that I want you to stay.
Yeah.
Man, like, what's going on with that?
No, I'm with free.
You was there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And they go for
Damn, somebody said, Q-Rock, what was going on?
yeah, she was downstairs.
Yeah, somebody, bro, down there with it, with Q-Rock, I ain't know Q-Rock,
Yeah. What the hell, what's up, too, man?
you know,
Talk crazy,
what is that?
just talk crazy, like, oh shit,
You going crazy right now?
nah, they about me, talking about wild shit.
But I ain't heard of
Yeah, it's wild shit, I'm so bored.
that. Yeah,
Had me blow.
they blow?
Had me blow.
Oh, yeah, I ain't talked on that. I'm talking to the phone for years now.
Yeah.
You asked me like what's going on. I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. What the hell?
Damn, bro.
Everybody was smooth.
Yeah, I know it. I know that.
They just goddamn, they on mild.
Yeah.
Cause I don't know what the fuck he got from.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm feeling for. I'm like, see what they got up for, like, they just saying, like, you know, I'm like, when they do it, I'm like, they don't assume shit like that anyway. They don't assume that, like,
That's what I keep telling you now. Look, I keep telling them, like, hey, chill, like, I know. Yeah, I'm like, this is man, bro. Like, they just doing that cause they see that as a guy, it's like, hey, chill. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, man. I'm still around, like this, bro. They're like, I'm cat, listen, but don't, they still put on top, bro.
Not one word.
Yeah.
Now, what they trying to portray or what they say, man, don't say shit.
Yeah. I ain't heard that, I'm like, I ain't telling them wrong. I'm like, you don't understand that.
I ain't doing nothing anyway.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not playing.
You know, like these, you know.
I know, I good. I told him, I told him,
I told her, like, tell him I need 1,000, but anything in between, she got down.
oh, no, yeah. Same there at that started.
Yeah.
I know, like, when I talked to one time, the lady, she like, she told the jury out, and like, these paid, because she had that I talked to, she did them.
Oh, what?
Yeah. She like, and they said, like, and normally, before I don't leave the book like that, and like, they tell me that we paid, it was a date, we won.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they tell me to take, work out.
Well, no, that part, I just, like, I know, like, how that go. You know what I'm saying? I ain't tripping on that. I ain't tripping. I've been just trying to keep bullet calm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, do that, work that. Yeah, bro.
I don't really be like that culture and shit. That shit got me all out, like.
Yeah. But then, at the point, that was telling, I'm like, what the hell is that? Farm.
Oh,
You told me they like farm.
okay.
Yeah. She really kind of said you think I was a farm. Hey, what the girl, I just remember to the boy that did by myself.
Yeah?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember myself that. That's when you showing the way she can turn her head.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. But like, who the last? She ain't coding on. No wisdom on my page and shit. So, I don't know who told us how to video check. Like, bro, when I ain't lying. I say, you lying, you damn sure some shit, man.
Huh?
I ain't saying mine, you damn sure some shit, you say, bro. I ain't know what's going. I'm like, listen, bro. You know what's going on. Like, before all this shit, like, out of the church.
Yeah.
I'm like, shit, you know. I'm like, you know what's going on, like, bro, ain't no problem, bro, with everybody else, like, listen, bro. You know I had this shit here, bro. Trying this shit, but like, I'm like, hey, I'm like, shit, that ain't going on no more, bro. I'm like, yeah, they're gonna give you, man. I ain't the phone right now. I told the phone to be quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah, now they can feel like an album on the street. They just don't. But this and shit, like, yeah, I'm like, yeah, just,
They know. So everything stay away from that. That's the police shit.
yeah, man.
Got down. You know, they pen pals for rings, all this shit up.
Yeah.
Don't come back clean. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't tripping on that.
So there's a few things that happened in this call. So let's talk about the first part of the call. The first part of the call, they're talking about Miles Farley. And if y'all remember, y'all heard the jail calls when they were trying to get protection for Miles Farley. Well, this call is on April 1st, early in the morning before Miles is arrested. And what you hear them talking about in the call is, one, I don't know why Miles got out the car. That's the only thing they really got on him because they saw him on the surveillance video. And more importantly, they're saying, tell Miles don't talk to the police. Tell Miles don't talk to them folk. Because see, Miles ain't never been in jail. So they think if Miles starts talking to the police, he the weakest link. So they're like encouraging Miles, don't say nothing to him. So that's what the two people who are in the shooting car are trying to make sure that they are protected by making sure Miles don't talk. So that's the first part of the call. Then you hear them talking about Dolly White. Well, we all know Dolly, Doug's sister. And they're talking about getting payment for a lawyer. And then before that, or right after that, they're talking about Blizzy seeing Damikian at the hotel in Cobb County. Remember, Blizzy is the ops, Carlos Barber. And so now Damikian is updating Shannon about what's happening. Because remember, Shannon's been in custody now since March 17th. What's also important is that they're on this contraband phone. So remember, early in the call, they're like, Shannon, I couldn't be on that other phone because they got my phone. So now I'm using somebody else's in jail contraband phone so that we can talk. So on this contraband phone where they don't think anyone can hear them because they don't know it's a wiretap, they're like, hold on, Miles is tripping. Tell him don't talk to them police. He said the other boy tripping too. I submit he's talking about Carmavius Nichols. He said, I'm just trying to keep Buddy calm. Because remember, at this time, only two people are locked up. Shannon and Cormarvius. Miles is not locked up, and we have not confirmed that DeMarco Boyer is a part of this. So he's trying to keep Quay down, trying to keep Miles from snitching, and that's what they're talking about. Then towards the end of the call, and I know Mr. Sharp trying to flip this, but he says, if they get my car, it's going to be clean. Because there ain't going to be no GSR in it. Who says that? And let's see. Did he go get the car clean? He did. These circles, and y'all going to have these pictures in the back, are watermarks. You see, they ain't do a good job cleaning it. but it's watermarks dripping on the dashboard, over here, over here. Because he got the car clean. See, he thought, maybe in his mind, that the gunshot residue might be on the dashboard. It might be over here. Because he shot that gun out the window. He ain't shoot the gun in the car. Go look back at the trajectory, and he could not have shot in the car. He had to shoot out the car because the bullet had to go through the car, through the window, into Chanel drinks. I submit he not inside the car like ping ping. That's not what he's doing. He gonna put his hand out the car and he gonna shoot. So when he's talking about they gonna wipe the car, it's gonna be clean, because that's what he think the gunshot residue gonna be. And what did Mr. Colvin tell you? He said, I took 2 dabs. I think he said he took about 8 or 16 dabs, but I didn't dab the entire headliner. He said there could be portions that had it. That's just not what I tested. You saw how big the headliner was. We pulled it out the bag for you. Is it possible? Reasonable that it could have been on another piece of the headliner? Yes. Or is it reasonable that all of the gunshot residue went out the car? Because remember what he said. He said it's going to be a poof, but it's going to go in the direction of the bullet. You might have some blowback, but not a whole lot, unless the shooting happened in the car. The shooting didn't happen in the car. Therefore, it's not going to be a whole bunch of gunshot residue inside of the car. Remember, we asked him, is there going to be a distinction between the two? He said there's going to be way more gunshot residue if, say, Damikian or someone in the car fired. But if the gun is outside the car window, it's going to blow back a little, not a lot. It's going to go towards the direction of the gun, or of the bullet. But that would be towards the direction of Mr. Drinks. So any gunshot residue, he thought he wiped down. That's why he says that on a contraband call to his co-conspirator, who they both killed, Chanel. Don't worry about it, bro. If nothing else, when they got the car, don't worry about that gunshot residue. We cleaned that. That's why he wanted to extend the car rental. He extended the car rental on March 15th. He had to. He couldn't take the car back. By this time, I got to get that thing cleaned down. We got to do something with it. He probably going to try to get rid of it. But we called him on the 17th. He ain't have enough time. Now, I'm almost done, y'all. But I found it ironic how the first murder and the last murder in this indictment, how eerily similar they are. How ironic is it they both named Nut? They both happen near gas stations. They both using rental cars. One by Jeffrey Williams, one by Shannon. They both have multiple YSL defendants. They both travel after the murder. He talks about going, they flee to Miami. He talks about poker. He talks to poker about going to Miami. They go into the studio, writing lyrics about it. They're both, Chanel and Donovan are affiliated, associated with YFN. But they want you to believe that this is just 2 totally unrelated cases. Oh, and Shannon is supposed to be the shooter in both of them? The one who's always on go? He says it himself, but Quindarius said it too. The one who wants to do the murder because he wants status in the game? But they want to tell you, don't believe any evidence that the state brought. Don't believe any of it. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you not to do that. You know, Mr. Drinks, young man, maybe trying to find his way, maybe getting caught up in the wrong crowd. But on that day, he should have been able to go to his girlfriend's house. He should have been able to to maybe decide that these aren't the friends he want to be with. But no, this is what they did to him. Left him at the light of this. And for what? Off a social media post? This is trash that they're doing in our community. Same thing with Donovan. Donovan was trying to turn his life around. Donovan was trying to get into the music business. Donovan was trying to leave that gang stuff alone. He up here drinking his glass of wine when you see the picture. But what did they do? Off of what? Because Donovan was at the barbershop joking, laughing outside. You see the surveillance video? And left him like this. All in the name of YSL. All in the name of the game that they want to tell you is a music group. It's music. This ain't music. This is not a song right here. Y'all, this is real life. Real dead bodies. Real dead people. Real shootings. This ain't no song over a beat. And they know when they brought him to it, with his flag tattoo, his omerta tattoo, what they were doing. Ladies and gentlemen, they are guilty of every single count that they are both charged with. Mr. Atkins told you what this was about. Destruction of people. Destruction of the community that they live in. Deception. They want to deceive you by telling you that these people in here are just lying just to lie. They're trying to deceive you to tell you that this is all about rap music, rap business. It is not. This is about death. How many dead bodies at the hands of YSL? How many people shot at the hands of YSL? They are a gang. By every definition of the word. And you want to talk about we are here just trying to get people of color? No, I'm trying to get gang members to stop committing violent acts in this community, in Fulton County, where each of their victims are people of color. The people that they destroyed, the people that they hurt, the people that they tarnished. Young boys. Rodalius Ryan could have had a promise in life. But what is it? He out here murdering folk at the hands of YSL. Christian Eppinger at the hands of YSL. Go catch you a body. That's how you become slime. That's what he says in his song. Go catch you a body. I'll show you how to be slime. And that's what these little boys are doing. Catching a body to be slime. But they want to tell you that we got a vendetta on people of color? It's ridiculous. It's absurd. And intimidation. These two defendants, Mr. Kendrick and Mr. Stillwell, are guilty. They are guilty of murder. They are guilty of gang acts. They're guilty of conspiracy to violate RICO. And I ask of you, look at the evidence. Look at the law. I know it took some time. I know you probably want to go home and get your turkey. I know, I get it. But I am asking you all to go back there, finish this marathon, finish this race, hold them accountable for their actions. When you apply the law with the facts and the evidence, there's only one just conclusion. That these defendants are guilty. Ladies and gentlemen, evil prevails when good men and women do nothing. I'm asking you to do something. I'm asking you to hold them accountable. I'm asking you to return a verdict of guilty. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for your attention and your patience during this very long day. I know this was not an easy day for y'all. It's been a lot of hours here in the courtroom today, but y'all paid good attention and close attention, and everybody appreciates that. So let me give you some instructions before you return tomorrow. To maintain the integrity of this trial, remember that you must decide this case based only on the evidence admitted during the trial and the law as I will explain it to you. I have not yet given you this law. I will do that tomorrow. So it's not yet time to deliberate. Do not conduct any research on your own about this case or about any people or places mentioned during the trial, including online, through the internet, through any kind of traditional media or references, through social media, or by asking anyone anything about this case, and not from any other source, electronic or otherwise, should you get information about this case or about the law. Do not watch, read, or listen to any accounts of this trial that might appear in the news media, on social media, or through any other type of communication with anyone. In short, as I've told you before, do not seek any information, including even hypothetical questions about this case, from any source outside the confines of this courtroom. And until the deliberations begin, which is not going to be until tomorrow, after you have heard the law that applies to this case, do not discuss this case with anyone or even amongst yourselves. Do not allow anybody to discuss it with you. Remember, you all have a late start tomorrow, so I'll see y'all at 11. We won't have a traditional long lunch break since we're starting late, so go ahead and eat something before you get here and come in ready to get back to business on the case. We'll see you at 11. Thank you.
All right, so the jury.